Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, bringing you my review of the Star Wars The Black Series Magnaguard. They're calling this a Clone Wars figure, but let's be fair, we're going to stick these on the shelf right next to our Episode 3 General Grievous. You know, the Magnaguard's a really cool design. It's a really spindly, skeletal droid, and it's been a favorite of many since Revenge of the Sith came out back in the day. It's so cool, a droid that can fight lightsaber wielders. Anyway, I'm really excited to add this guy to the collection, so let's get into the review and see if this is one that you think you need to add to the shelf. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging. This is one of our final releases in the plastic-free packaging, thankfully. Up top, you have your Black Series logo above a render of the Magnaguard in a pretty cool-looking pose. I do like that. Underneath that, you have Star Wars Clone Wars in yellow of his name, Magnaguard, warning 4+ Hasbro plastic-free packaging. This side of the box features a really awesome artwork. I do really like how this one turned out. Although I will say, looking in the background there, you know, you got like the high rock walls and super battle droids and battle droids. That gives me Episode 3 vibes. Kinda not sure why they didn't throw this in a Revenge of the Sith box, because they don't know what color they want it to be yet. But that's fine. This side features your Black Series logo up above a render of the Magnaguard saying he stands at 6.2 inches tall. Plastic-free packaging plastered all over there. And around the back, you have your Black Series logo, the render of him again. Name and bio in varying languages. Pause and read whichever one applies best to you. He's number 15 in the Clone Wars line. You got a bunch of legal stuff, Disney, Hasbro, barcode, Disney stuff, or Hasbro, like legal stuff underneath there. Up top, you have a hanger tab. Allows stores to hang the figure on the shelf. Nothing to write home about there, your standard packaging. Let's go ahead and open them up and take a look at what comes in the box. Alright, here's the Magnaguard opened up. And before we get into the accessories, I'd like to point out, this figure is quirky. There are a lot of things that I'm going to mention that maybe I don't necessarily like, but it's not necessarily that the figure is bad. This figure is based on a character that could only exist in a computer-generated format. He is incredibly skinny and skeletal, and there's only so much that you can do when making such a thing in action figure format. And before we get into it, I'd like to say I'm just really happy that this does exist. So, let's go ahead and get into the accessories. He comes with 2 versions of the Magnaguard staff. Now, I believe in the films they had these, like, you know, clear tips on either end. And then in the animated series, it was just a staff that generated the electric on the ends. So it comes with 2 different staffs. Both of them look very nice, although they're just in kind of gray metallic plastic. It comes with 2 purple lightning energy effects. They do appear to be different sculpts, which is nice. So that is a selling point here. They are meant to slide on to the staffs and give it that kind of lit up, energized effect. So when you put them on this one, it does look very good. They do have openings, you know, where, like, you know, for them to like wrap around. So there is, like on this one in particular, there is a side that doesn't look as good. Same with this up here. You can just see where the energy just doesn't lap over. That allows them to open up a little bit wider if you were going to choose to put them on the glass-ended one, or the clear-ended one. I guess I can't tell you that that's necessarily glass. But on these, because these ends are a little bit bigger around, they do splay the effect open wider on the one side. So that is something to think about when posing, is that you'd probably want to then have them holding it like this so that the openings are facing away from you. So that might be the way to go here. So, talking about either of these staffs, let's talk about how he holds them. So his hands have 2 thumbs, I guess, and 2 fingers. I guess we're going to call the 2 opposing direction ones thumbs. They are sculpted in a very closed position, overlapping each other. And the idea is you have to kind of fish this between the fingers. And he holds it very firmly. It's not sliding in his hand there. I mean, to slide it, you have to, you know, there is a decent amount of friction here. So he holds it very nicely, I will say, and that right there is another flaw we'll talk about. So he does have good grip on it, I'll say. Now, as you saw, I just knocked off his shoulder pad. These, I don't know why Hasbro elected to make these the way they did. So you see on the bicep there are these 2 little nubbins, and there's 2 receptacles in there, and they're meant to peg on either side. Now, I wish the Black Series team would talk to the Marvel Legends team, because that's how they used to do Iron Man shoulder pads. And if you go and you look for an Iron Man figure, Mark 1 through 6, Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 releases, if you're buying it secondhand, you're buying it without those shoulder pads because it is just a shitty design and it's not worked on any line of figures ever. There's not enough friction to hold a rubbery shoulder pad on. When I'm done with this review, I'm going to put super glue on those because they only pivot that much. It's not enough. I'm going to glue it down. That way I just have a little bit more of a gap up top and it'll let it rise as high as it can. But yeah, these are going to get lost. And yes, they've done it on this shoulder pad as well. I'm actually shocked while filming this that I knocked that one off instead of this one, because this one on this particular figure seems to be the easier one to knock off. So yeah, that's just unfortunate, but it's how it is. The soft goods cape on this, I really like. It lays really nice. It's a very soft material. It's like a really, really soft t-shirt, sort of. It is in a cream color, but it's kind of thin. So, like, you see some, like, thinner areas of the stitching, which actually makes for good texture. It's 2 layers. There's this, like, upper one. There's, like, the lower one goes all the way to the ankle, and this upper one kind of just gives it an additional layer on top, and it's got some patterned, like, arrows and stuff up top. Looks very good. I gotta say, I do really like how that worked out. So, otherwise, looking at this guy, I mean, he looks the part. He's an excellent looking figure. He's in a very, very light gray, you know, kind of like a cream white gray, sort of. He's got some darker gray punch-ins with some almost black internals going on over there with the bright red chest button, the bright red eyes, and he just looks very cool. His head features the rubber version of the headscarf, the rubber portion. It can be removed, but there's very deep detents in the head sculpt for that to align with. So you can remove it, but it doesn't really look good because there are Magnaguards without the capes. So unfortunately, this guy is a cape-on always kind of figure, but that's all right. So I do really, really like how this worked out. Just a ton of good stuff going on. And a bunch of weathering, too. A bunch of little scuffs. And it's kind of like a dark gray with little silver flecks within the dark gray, like on the scuffs on the armor plates. I mean, it looks very worn. This guy, you know, looks like he's, you know, fought some lightsaber combatants. It's very cool. So, I guess we're going to run through some articulation now. This is where things get a little clunky, too. Like, he has an insane amount of articulation, but the way it works is kind of unique. He features a double ball neck, which only allows him to look up that far, which isn't much. He can look down a good bit, get some side to side, and some pivot in there. As mentioned, yeah, you see just by moving the cloak, I've knocked off that shoulder pad. When you have the shoulder pad off, you can raise that arm, like, straight up. On this one, where I haven't lost the shoulder pad yet, let's see. That's as high, basically, as you can take it. If you start going higher, there you go. You pop off the shoulder pad. So, like, the range is there, but the shoulder pad design is just awful. I don't really get why they didn't put it on a ring on, like, the inside of this ball joint in there, just like they do with, like, the Stormtrooper and the Clone Trooper shoulder pads. That's just terrible. So, but yeah, it can pivot that high up, and then it's not on a butterfly joint, but, like, the peg has a big ball joint on the end, so the whole shoulder has, like, a huge amount of range in there. It's really cool. Of course, you can 360 at that point, and then, like, that's how far your rotation of what the butterfly joint performs would do. Single jointed elbows can only go to 90 and then rotate at the elbow. He has a mid forearm. Like, you see, like, the piston that goes into the arm. It rotates there, which is cool. And then the wrists have an in and out hinge. And then there's, like, a peg in the hand, but, like, it's like offset, like an ankle pin. So, like, you see how, like, I'm turning it, but it's also tilting it. Like, it's weird. So you can get different angles on it by turning that you know, inner forearm, and you can make it like a vertical hinge at that point or whatever you need it to be. It's a little weird. He features a mid-torso ball joint that allows him to crunch that far forward, that far back. Got a bunch of side-to-side and rotation. His legs can only kick out that far. They kind of have that, like, super battle droid thing going on where it's like the big thighs, sort of, that go up higher than the ball joint. But ball joints in there, you can get a little bit of pivot on that. Single jointed knees, you can go decent ways past 90, and then no rotation there. And then the feet, the pivot and pin is like up here, so like the feet almost have like a high heel effect. They can go that far back, that far forward, And there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, which will allow you to get a little bit of, like wider stance with both feet flat on the ground. It's just a clunky figure to work with. Now, and like I said at the very beginning, it's not a bad thing. It's by design. They made a completely computer-generated robot, and then Hasbro was told, now make it pose. Like, they did their best. I'll completely 100% say that. So, to do some size comparisons, I'm going to bring in the Commander Apo just to show you some clone opposition here. And as you see, they stand exactly the same height. So, that is 100% an issue, because the Magnaguards in universe are about 2 meters tall, which translates to 6 foot 6 inches. This should be a 6.5 inch tall figure. The side of the box says it's 6.2. This makes it look like it's really more like 6. It should be like a true half-inch taller. The head should be about up to here, just for it to be accurate. I will say, because these droids act as General Grievous's bodyguards, maybe they shrunk them a little bit, because General Grievous in the line is just too short. So, like, maybe they scale nicer together in that respect. So, yeah, let's bring in Clone Wars Obi-Wan, I guess because he has handled a fair number of these. And then the only other Separatist battle droid that the line has given us so far, the B1. Although we are having the B2 coming soon, which I'm excited for. I mean, look, here's your issue right here. The B2 is taller than the B1 is taller than the Magnaguard. Like, come on. Like, this needed to be a true half-inch or even a little more taller, I gotta say. So, end of the day, what do I think of the Magnaguard? Man, we were on the brink of greatness. We were this close. But, no, look, the Magnaguard is a very hard to recreate in figure form figure. It's so spindly and skinny, and the fact that Hasbro was able to recreate it so flawlessly with such articulation that you can get all the poses you could ever ask from a Magnaguard and have it be a relatively stable figure. Kudos to Hasbro for everything except for the scale part. They've kind of been dropping the ball on some of the scale stuff lately, and it's weird because they just gave us that perfect scaled R2-D2, and it kind of makes you think, like, oh, hey, Hasbro gives a shit about scale now. But now, like, Balin's Skull and the Magnaguards are way too small, and it's like, these are just Google, questions. You want to know how I know that this should be a 6.5 inch tall figure? Because I Googled how tall is a Magnaguard, and I instantly got my math for it. So, like, yeah, I don't really get what's going on with the scaling issues as of late. It's a great looking figure, and the paint and the articulation and the deco and the sculpt work are excellent. It should have been created at 115% the scale that it came out. Like, it just didn't, it's just too small. But I'll also counter that odds are the Magnaguard is not your favorite battle droid. In a universe where we have B1s, B2s, and commando and tactical droids, odds are the Magnaguard isn't the one that you're going to buy 30 of and put at the front of your Separatist shelf. You're probably going to have 2 of them in your collection flanking General Grievous, who himself is a little bit of a smaller figure, and that could be why they did it, is they didn't want the Magnaguards to tower over Grievous. That's an entirely plausible explanation as well. Not a great one. I'd argue they should have just made these the right size and then given us a new Grievous in the correct size as well. But that could be why they did it. This could just be them verifying that they don't care that Grievous is in the wrong scale. So that might be what's going on. But all in all, you know what? I like what we're getting, even if there's some flaws, the shoulder pads and the height. Do I recommend it? Yeah, but I gotta inform you. That's what we're doing this for. So yeah, I recommend it, although he's a little small. But I think you're gonna have a good time with it. Definitely catch some reviews on posing this guy. Keep an eye out. Maybe Action Display might make a video on this guy, and he will definitely show you what to do with him if you're struggling with some of this articulation. But I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, just leave a like, comment, subscribe. Join that HCR Superfan membership. For 99 cents a month, you can show that you are a big fan of the channel and have your username in the end credits of every video I do. And yeah, so that's what I got to say there. Thanks again. I'll catch you next time. Until then, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.